Yo, what is up, everybody, and welcome to our 2023 NBA Draft Review here at Result Report. First, the Wemby watch for the San Antonio Spurs and their number one pick. Then second, what did the Pacers, or you could say the Wizards, do with their pick? And then more Chris Paul news update on Result Report next. As we may have discussed in a previous video, the Spurs were given the number one pick in the draft lottery, and they selected Victor Wembanyama. It was pretty obvious he was going to get picked number one, and he was actually a Spurs fan as a kid, if you didn't know that. That's why he was celebrating after knowing he's going to San Antonio. And then, so that's why he's happy. And then there's a picture of him in a Spurs jersey as a little kid. Then the Hornets selected Brandon Miller, second overall. Miller and Henderson were the two people they were debating about selecting, but I say they go with Miller because he's taller and he is a better perimeter shooter, I'd say. And then one game in college, he scored 41 points at South Carolina in a W. Then third, the Blazers selected Scoot Henderson, and he's a point guard, so that means Damian Lillard might be leaving. And then Kevin Garnett, this to me sounds like the Kevin Garnett Minnesota story. They all loved him there because he never complained about the city. They would do okay, then eventually they started to be not so good anymore. They never really made the finals or anything, and then he started to want to leave and go to a championship contender, and then he never complained because he didn't want to feel like the bad guy of the city. And then they told him he's got to leave, and then he left and went to Boston, and then they would win an NBA championship. Fourth, the Houston Rockets selected Amen Thompson from Overtime Elite, and that's a big pick. To me, for Houston, that's a great pick. They lost Eric Gordon in a trade, and the Clippers sent John Wall to Houston, except they waived him, so they've got to get a big point guard here, and I think this is their long-term point guard. Fifth, Detroit selected Asar Thompson, the twin of Amen Thompson, and they're the second pair of brothers. They're the second brothers that were selected in the top five. The others were Lonzo and LaMelo Ball. Seventh, Indiana selected Bilal Coulibaly, who was traded to Washington, and he was also on Mets 92, and would he have been available for the Wizards' next pick, though, is what I'm wondering. Then Victor Wembanyama tweeted that he deserved a top 5 pick. However, I've never heard of him, so I don't think that's a bold claim to me. And then he would average 5 points per game and was 53% field goal shooting. You could think about 53%, meaning he's going to make a lot of shots in the NBA, but I think of it to where he doesn't shoot. Then ninth, the Jazz selected Taylor Hendricks from UCF, and they've got to take advantage of this, because if Utah doesn't receive a top 10 pick next year, then they don't get a first round pick next season. Then eighth, I skipped number 8. The Wizards selected Jarris Walker, then traded him to the Pacers. He's a versatile defensive player. This is a great fit, especially with Miles Turner's situation right now. 10th, the Dallas Mavericks selected Cason Wallace, then traded him to Oklahoma City. One of the two Kentucky players selected in the draft, only other player was Chris Livingston, and there's usually a lot more than 2 players selected, something around that, but one time there were 4 players selected in the NBA draft lottery alone. The lottery alone tied with North Carolina for that record. 11th, Orlando Magic select Jet Howard. There he could go with Anthony Black, who they selected number 6, but Anthony Black doesn't really have the shooting part yet, but once he unlocks that, then they're going to really start dominating a little bit. Jet Howard is ready for the NBA, coached by his father, Jawan Howard, at Michigan, and I don't know what's going to happen to Michigan basketball this year. 12th, Oklahoma City, Derek Lively III, so they selected him, and then traded him to Dallas. Him and Cason Wallace had a hat switch. They switched their hats, and then officially were traded. 13th, Toronto selected Grady Dick. I think this is a great fit for them, and he's a great 3-point shooter, a great freshman at Kansas, a great season, and I think they need a guy like this, especially in the situation they're in. They got a new coach, and they're rebuilding here, so this is the right pick for them. Then 16th, Utah selected Keontae George. He is ready for the NBA. It really didn't matter his freshman year. I think he could go to the NBA at age 18. And speaking of age 18 NBA players, they're adding that rule for the 2024 draft class. So there might be a lot more busts, which gets things a little bit interesting as well. And that means Bronny James will be in that draft class. But anyway, this would be his first year in college if he even goes to college. Then Jalen Hood-Schifino was selected 17th overall by the Lakers. I think this is a good fit for them, and especially with the guard. And they have a lot of free agents. They might some restricted, some unrestricted. But I think as long as they can, if they don't get their guys back, Hood-Schifino is going to be one of their starting players. But he might get moved because whatever LeBron wants, LeBron gets. Pretty much is how it works in LA. They've sent so many people in and out of LA, and that includes stars like Russell Westbrook, who's a great NBA player. He's not bad anymore. It's just that he is just not, he's a better fit for the Clippers than the Lakers. And so I think Hood-Schifino had a great finish to the year. He scored 35 points at Mackey Arena, and that really made him win Big Ten Freshman of the Year. 20th, the Houston Rockets selected Cam Whitmore. And Jay Billis said that he should have been selected 4th overall. I said 6th if you watched my YouTube short, but maybe you haven't. I think Whitmore's the sleeper. He was selected 20th overall when he was number 1 on the best available for 17 straight picks. Then 23rd, the Trailblazers selected Chris Murray. His brother is a good rookie in Keegan Murray, and maybe he could fit a little bit with Damian Lillard or Scoot Henderson, whoever they have as their point guard next year. And his brother, like Keegan, was a great starter, and they're pretty much the same player. Like one time, I think it was sometime, not in college, but maybe in college. But they look so much alike that they switched jerseys when Keegan was in foul trouble. So they thought and Keegan was the better player, and so they switched jerseys, and then the stats went down for Chris Murray, but Chris Murray was dominating, but it was really Keegan after they switched jerseys. Then 27th, Charlotte selected Nick Smith Jr. I think that's the steal of the draft. And at the beginning of the year in October, he was in the top 5 picks for that. And he moved down due to injuries, and now he's pretty good now. He finished great. But Arkansas had a lot of injuries in basketball this year, but they had a lot of great players selected, like Anthony Black, Nick Smith Jr., Jordan Walsh, all these players. And then, to me, this is 2 top 5 picks here the Hornets got, and they only earned one of them. The other one was 27th overall. And to me, the Hornets won the 2023 NBA draft. Thanks for watching our 2023 NBA Draft review on Result Report. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to stay up to date with our channel. I'm Isaac. Peace out.